If you have spent a significant period of time in the Falklands, you are probably well used to the presence of penguins. Magellanics, Gentoos, macaronis, kings and rockhoppers all call these islands home. They provide reasons to get out to the beaches and attract tourists to visit our shores. But they haven't always been just interesting wildlife to photograph. Some people consider collecting penguin eggs as a source of food, a pastime.
The first recorded practice of this was in the late 1700s, with early whalers travelling to the Falklands to gather eggs. It is not known how many eggs were collected annually, but the business was a booming one. Depot ships were set up to contain the vast numbers gathered until they could be sold on to other vessels. Fast forward to the 20th century and egg collecting was still as popular as ever. In 1911, some 11,000 eggs were collected from Kidney Island alone.
November the 9th has become a traditional day for egging in the islands, with Gentoo eggs laid in mid to late October. Schools tend to go on holiday to allow for egging season, with one outing seeing 13,000 eggs being removed from a 2-kilometre stretch of cliff. Until the late 1960s and early 1970s, it was a part-time business for some islanders.
The practice has largely died out now and can only be done under a strict licence. Those hoping to collect eggs each year still need to apply to the government for a permit, with an estimated 10,000 eggs harvested each year. In the coming year though, with the numbers of Gentoos declining over the last decade, things will be very different.
Some colonies have seen complete failure. They're also laying fewer eggs, so 10% less than the long-term average. Bird flu has likely contributed to this, but there's also public health concerns about collecting and consuming eggs that may be infected with bird flu. There are 3 options in the paper. One was to keep it as it is, which is 2% of the colony's population for egging, or something in between that, between 0 and 2%, or 0%, or as in a pause for this season. And committee decided to pause it for this season based on the survey results.
But this, for some people, is not enough to put a complete hold on licences being given out.
Landowners themselves know the value of what's around them. They live on that land. They understand it. They understand those birds. They're not going to get rid of them by taking every egg they have. And I do think that landowners themselves, if they could see a rookery was declining for whatever reason, they would have probably said, leave them alone. It is dwindling away by itself. But there are still those, of course, who do like a good penguin egg and, see it very much as a cultural part of being a Falkland Islander.
Completely understand that it's a cultural pastime. Some people will be very disappointed by this. Please remember that it's not about stopping a cultural heritage aspect, it's about protecting our wildlife.
Regular Gentoo colonies typically contain 300 to 500 breeding pairs, with each tending to lay 2 eggs. If all the eggs are taken, they can lay again, with one naturalist, Leonard Matthews, pointing out in his 1977 account that they can do this 3 or 4 times. He did though point out that each relaying produces 1 egg in most cases, and they are generally smaller. With that in mind, those in favour of continuing egg collections would like to see more science behind the decision to pause licences.
Do we know where Gentoo colonies are? Do we know how many roughly there to get that complete and accurate overall picture? Ever since time immemorial, there's been colonies that have got bigger, others have disappeared completely. Now, is that being driven, say, over the years by the abundance or not of whatever it is that penguins like eating in certain areas? I don't think we have this full understanding that we really need.
They also feel the decision not to hold a public consultation over the pause was a mistake.
People have spoken to me about it. They are somewhat dismayed by the decision that's been made, and there is a real worry amongst some that what has been very much part of Falklands culture may well now have been stopped.
There is also the issue that people may collect eggs despite the pause coming into effect, although the government have some plans as to how that can be avoided.
We'll be talking to landowners. We've sent out some messages already to the people who normally have egging licences, but we do rely on people's cooperation to make this work.
The pause will be reviewed in a year's time, when the penguin population has been assessed to see if numbers have increased enough to lift it. However, a small part of the community are sceptical as to whether the practice will ever be restored. It is a debate that is likely to rumble on as the weeks and months go by.